We finally got some snowflakes in the forecast here, mainly tomorrow night, and early Saturday. I think for some of you, not all of you, but for some of you, you're going to wake up Saturday morning to more snow than we've had in a day and a half stretch so far this winter. It's not a snowstorm, but we got to take what we can get. So hope everybody's doing well. Let's dive into this here. Let's get rid of that countdown timer and check out what radar looks like. This looks exciting, doesn't it? I get the feeling the look is a lot more impressive than reality. Bark more than bite, I suppose. This is our live shot from downtown Rochester, and I don't see a whole lot going on. We got another shot. Those roadways look awfully dry to me, so I would imagine a good chunk of this is what we call virga. It's not quite making it to the ground, but still embedded within that. You could have a few snowflakes pushing their way on by. We're getting some help tonight from a trough of upper level energy causing lift in the air. And interestingly enough, we've even had some rain mixing in. You see still a little green showing up there. That's pretty close to the Letchworth area. There's the Mount Morris entrance right in there, northward toward Geneseo, back off to the west. Too warm for snow. A little rain in there too on the south side of Buffalo. This will not amount to much overnight tonight. This is not the fun part. We'll wait on that as we go into Friday. We got to get these winds to align just right. That's not happening here tonight. We're going to wait for one more catalyst, one more trough to rotate down. That should happen early on Friday. That's it, in my opinion, right in there. So at some point around 9 a.m. Friday morning, we may end up with a decent snow squall that punches its way southward. That's going to be the catalyst here to get the winds to shift. Now note out ahead of that, the wind flow is more west-southwest, and then check it out behind that squall. There's your difference, and that's what's going to set the stage for some of that lake effect to get going. And it typically takes a few hours for these bands to start to organize, so you might get a little bit of a lull into the early part of the afternoon. Then we get in on that setup. And this will end up being the fun part from an accumulation standpoint. Northwest flow typically gives you multiple bands. We call this a multi-band lake snow setup. So you got one here, you got one here, you got one here. These models are great. They're generally pretty good with regard to snow bands, but you know what they're not is perfect. They draw them there. It's entirely possible this guy's, maybe down here, and this guy's maybe like this. And even though it's a seemingly subtle difference, it will make all the difference in the world for where you live. And you know how that works with lake effect. Very, very small deviations make a big difference, and these are highly variable with snowfall amounts. One of the things we're going to be watching later tomorrow into tomorrow night, will one of those snow bands get a connection to Georgian Bay? And the way lake effect goes, the more bodies of water that add moisture and warmth into that, generally it adds a little bit of a boost, some more pep to some of those lake effect bands. And I think we're going to get that. We just are going to need to see how this sets up to know, does that thing park west of Rochester? Does it park east of Rochester? Does it park right over us? And that'll be the in-the-moment radar stuff that we do tomorrow. But it'll be fun. I know it's going to start to taper off. These always hold on longer. And even in this flow, with how cold that is Saturday, I would be inclined to speculate we're not done. There will still be some at least light lake effect snow going through at least the first part of the day Saturday, despite these models suggesting that there's not going to be that much. Now, I see a few questions on here. How much snow are we getting? Let's take a peek at that. So this is our new updated snow map, and this is going to take us from Friday through Saturday. And you see on this, the vast majority of people, we're not talking about crazy amounts of snowfall. That light blue color corresponds to 2 to 4. One of the bullseyes that we want to track here will be the north of Rochester area. So if you live within maybe 5 miles of the lakeshore, I think that there could be a few spots that fall closer to 4 to 6 inches. And then we've got that hot pink color showing up from roughly about Webster into the northern part of Wayne County. I think we're going to have a few neighborhoods that get half a foot of snow out of this. Now, I want to be very clear on this snow map. Lake effect is so variable, and I have a hard time with this when I build these maps in saying, can I guarantee that everybody that lives along the lakeshore in Monroe County is going to have at least 4 inches of snow? No, that's not how lake effect works. This is more of a where those bands persist, that is what you are capable of getting if you end up getting under one of those bands. And some of you will not. There will be parts of northern Wayne County that barely have more than an inch or two out of this. There might be somebody with 10 inches. in Wayne County. That's just the nature of lake effect. But that's how we're drawing this. Typically in that kind of pattern with a west-northwest flow, those are the areas that we do tend to watch. And I will add too here, even though these lake bands are expected to be somewhat transient, and this is not a long duration lake effect event per se, there's some subtle meteorological things that suggest to me that there could be some higher end surprises. And the big one of which is a lot of where these snowflakes are being formed up above the surface in the cloud, they're at a temperature range that is usually very favorable for big old fluffy snowflakes. And yes, believe it or not, that is a thing that we as meteorologists do. Not all snow is created equally. The shape of the snowflakes, the texture, that plays into how much accumulation that you can have. If, you know, we got a lot of air in those flakes, it accumulates much more efficiently, and you end up getting a surprise with way more than you think. Much denser, heavier snow has a harder time piling up as efficiently, and I think that's something going in our favor to end up with some accumulations perhaps a little higher than what model guidance is suggesting. So we shall see. Next in line, you know, we're giving a Bills forecast because, you know, it's the Bills. We're going to watch this system. This might be our system into early next week. This will start to get going on Sunday, and I get the feeling in Kansas City there's not going to be that much going on still. That system is still getting its act together. But there'll probably be at least some light rain around, and it will very likely be mild. We've figuring on temperatures in the low 40s. Winds could gust as high as 15 miles an hour, generally out of the east. My personal assessment of this is I don't think any of those individually are that egregious that it's going to affect this football game unless there's some heavier rain around. Weather is not that big of a problem. Now, our problem with this as we go into early next week is what is this system going to do is that low then treks off to the east. Now, I'm going to show you the European model, but I need to put this in proper context because there's a lot of stuff floating around on social media about this notion that there's going to be this swath of very heavy snow accumulation from southern Michigan all the way into western New York. And if you look at this model, the Euro model, at face value, there's some validity to that. And here's the big thing I want to show you here with the Euro. This center circle here, this is where it puts the surface low, all right? If this low takes that track, we would end up getting a swath of snow here, and probably especially across the southern tier, you could be looking at plowable snow rather easily. I don't know that necessarily into Rochester we'd be looking at half a foot, but you know, I could certainly see shovelable snow with a track like that. The issue with this is its corresponding counterpart, we call that the GFS. Instead of that low being here, where the Euro is, the GFS says it's going to be more down here. And what that would do is it would take this snow line and it would drop it down to like here. And you would end up where not only would the snow totals go way, way down, I could argue it wouldn't even snow at all. What often happens here is you end up getting a blend of the two. So I think the smart money right now is, as we go late Monday into Tuesday, the best potential that we could end up seeing some accumulating snow would likely end up being areas south of Rochester. But we need to acknowledge that if the Euro and its ensembles, which, you know, they are also fairly insistent that this low is going to track a little bit farther off to the north, there is a prospect here, even for the Rochester area, that we could have a plowable snow late Monday into Tuesday. And Lord knows if these models continue to trend northward and we end up with a low way up here, this could be a tidy little snowstorm here in western New York. So my point is there's a lot of still variables here, a lot of moving parts. It's Thursday night. This is a forecast that goes all the way through the day on Tuesday. That's a long way away still to be able to have a reasonable assessment of what this is actually going to do. But that would be another prospect for you snow lovers to be able to get some white stuff out of this. Our 8-day forecast kind of leans on that. So we'll taper some of those flakes off early on Saturday. It's going to be a bitterly cold weekend, coldest weekend we've had of the winter. Highs will be in the low 20s at best. We're way down in the teens for overnight lows. You see, we do throw some snow chances in there late Monday into early Tuesday, but we remain cautious until we get some better consistency among model guidance. Yes, but I see some of you on Twitter, we're teaching you well. You know that the Euro model as its own entity is usually the one that a lot of meteorologists lean on. more times than not always. And remember, the Euro is the one that's the snowier picture out of this. And in my experience, and again, it's not always this way, but as you take them out over the course of time, we do tend to find the Euro tends to be a little better at the overall snapshot. So if the Euro is showing a difference that other models are not picking up on, we do kind of have that go in the back of our minds as, maybe those other models they need to come align and they'll eventually start following where the Euro is going. But now, like I said, that's not always how that ends up working. We'll play that by ear. In the meantime, if you're looking for snow, hopefully you get something out of this late Friday into Friday night. If you're just looking for some more winter here, I think you found it. That's a January 8-day forecast if I've ever seen one. All right, we'll see you guys at 11 o'clock.